Welcome back to a off-season edition of NFL news. Um, got some stuff to do, man. I was like already into it, and my computer crashed. Should be doing that sometimes, so that sucks. But that's okay. We back. We back. We're gonna start it up. We didn't get too far, thankfully. So going to do some NFL tiers. Some of that typical good old off-season action, but at least it's July and it's not like March or February. So we're getting ready to open up training camp. So I feel like it's an appropriate time to do this. So again, this isn't power rankings, it's tiers, much somewhat in the sense of the tiers on First Things First with Nick Wright, in that it's not necessarily again a ranking. It's more about the situation that the team is in from my perspective. And so it's not always going to be. I mean, as you can see, it's a natural kind of tier, but it's not exactly, oh, this team is better than that team type of things. But we'll see how that goes. So, anyway, the tiers are Super Bowl contenders. So, those are teams that I believe have a high chance and capability of winning multiple playoff games and reaching the Super Bowl. So that's really that. Playoffs are teams that I feel have a high chance, and I'm pretty confident will be in the playoffs, whatever ranking that might be. Bubble are teams that I believe can make it in the lower seeds of the playoffs or not, or just miss the playoffs. So obviously being on the bubble. Learning to win. These are teams that I feel have talent and they're just learning to put together wins consistently. They might have got some wins in before. They might have been on the bubble. Some of these teams might have been playoff teams or will be playoff teams, but they might not necessarily know how to come back from a deficit. They might not know how to hold the lead, things of that nature. Learning to consistently win with the talent they got. Building and rebuild, I had them together, but they're kind of different. Rebuild is like, okay, we tore it down. We're just now adding talent and trying to evaluate what that talent is. Building is more, we've been adding talent and we're continuing to add talent as we get towards, hey, let's start turning this talent into wins. Hot seat, and this is one again. Don't let the spot and the tiers throw you off. These can be really good teams. These are just teams that I feel on the verge of blowing it up. So it could be teams that have a lot of talent, might be playoff teams, but this is where I feel like, okay, if they don't win or this doesn't work, the coach and staff might be gone. Plus, like we're trading off players, that whole thing. It's a tear down. So those are the tiers. That's how we're gonna do this. All right, so let's start off with the Vikings. So what happened was I created this. I was playing around with it, and it wouldn't let me put the teams back down. So I had to create a new tier. So waiting room. That's what that is. All right, so we'll just go by the order that we got them. All right, so Vikings. I have them as a playoff team. We know they were one win away from being the one seed last year. JJ McCarthy's going to be a question mark. Obviously, as a first year starter, we got to see what he can do. But Kevin O'Connell has proven to be one of the better coaches in the league, and as a leader, I should say, in getting his team prepped. And the defense, while they are going to be leaning on some of those second year players, obviously the rookies too, but they've lost some pieces, but I would say this team was definitely more the scheme than the talent that was driving their success on defense. And so we'll see what that looks like this year with some new tweaks. And like I said, those second year players, they'll be looking for them to really step up. And then on offense, we know the weapons they got at receiver or the receiving core, including Hawkinson. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell and what he brings to that. And Aaron Jones came back. So we really got to see what J.J. McCarthy can do. But I believe a team that has a lot of that talent coming back, you put up that many wins last year, I believe they should be able to make the playoffs. Um, the Rams. I guess I put this in a different order. Anyway, that's fine. The Rams, for me, they're going to be a playoff team as well. That you got to give kudos to the defensive coordinator and the GM. And forgive me if I don't got all the names on top of my head, but kudos to them not only identifying that young talent, but having a plan for them to utilize them in their rookie year, get that confidence up, and you hope that all these young players, second year, third year, they're just going to be better going into this year, and hopefully continue to be a solid unit. Well, on the other side, we know what McVay brings. We know what Stafford brings, and that kind of collection. You add in Devontae Adams, who I believe still can play. He might not be what he used to be, but definitely still could play. Even though you lose Cooper Cup, Devontae Adams comes in and brings another dynamic to that. So I just believe with the collective experience of this team, and the leadership in McVay, I definitely think they get in the playoffs. And people got to remember, they were going toe to toe with the Eagles in the playoffs as well. So a lot of talent, a lot of grit. They went through the ugliest times. And Stafford, older, talking about retirement. And so obviously with any team, if someone gets hurt, that's different. But if Stafford stays healthy, they've been through the uglier, rougher times when it came to the O line and all that. So they survived that cap casualty stuff, and they really start to build some more talent. So I'll be pretty shocked if they did not make the playoffs. All right, the Jags. Couple places you could go here, but I'm going learning to win. The thing with the Jags is you got a lot of that talent that's been collected over the years that's coming back. It's not like they restructured the roster or anything. You've had the quarterback for a while, even though he hasn't been what people might have expected. A lot of that a lot of those pieces are still in place, excuse me. And then you add Travis Hunter, blah, blah. So for me, the question comes down to the head coach. We know it's first time head coach. We don't know exactly what he's going to do, but the team isn't necessarily building up the talent like some other teams. They've collected some talent, and then now it's time to turn that talent into wins. And we know Liam Cohen hired more than likely for what he can do to help with Trevor Lawrence. But I have to believe you saw something in him as a leader, as an organizer, that you believe he could not only help Trevor, but then take the rest of this team and lead them towards, being a little more consistent. So that's what I think the step that the Jags will be in this year. The Titans, I have them in building. We know Cam Ward, who hasn't been talked a lot about. He'll be the focal point. Obviously, they will want some wins, but they'll be focusing on really developing that talent. And I say building because this wasn't like the first year that they started getting some of that young talent. They've been doing it. Some people probably would have said sell out for a quarterback in last year's draft. That might have been a good move to do, but they didn't. They continued to build the trenches. Some of the veterans have gone, but they built a lot of that, or not a lot, but they started to build some young talent. They got those core pieces there, and so while they don't have like a crazy amount of weapons, there's some talent definitely on the O line. You got Peter Skoronsky, you got Latham, higher round picks that are going to be there for Cam Ward as he goes into his rookie year, and we'll see kind of what the Titans do. The Steelers, this probably be the first one everybody's butt gets tight. I got them on the hot seat. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, new, talking about retirement. Mike Tomlin, a lot of speculation, like he hasn't reached the heights in all these years that they wanted him to, and could he be done? TJ Watt yet to be signed. I believe he'll get signed, but still he's up there. Jalen Ramsey's up there, and so DK's new as well. It feels, obviously some people say, feels like an all-in type of thing, trying to sell out for this season. And on top of that, you get rid of Minka. So I had the whole spiel. I'm not even gonna do it again. All I'm gonna say is I don't feel the same way people feel about the Minka trade. I think I know there's a lot of things, especially in the secondary, that just don't show up on stats. And having a guy like Minka has allowed the Steelers to do some things in coverage that with less talent that really has helped them. And it obviously you're never gonna be perfect, but it would have been a lot worse without Minka. That's all I'll say. But either way, they gave him up for Jalen. So yeah, I just think they'll be all in this year, and it definitely feels like one of those things that if this season doesn't go the way that they kind of thought it might be another Jets situation where they end up blowing it up pretty soon. Eagles, Super Bowl contenders. I don't know. Defending champs. I don't know as much to say about that. One of the most talented rosters out there, and they just continue to build. Um, the Dallas Cowboys. I got them on a bubble. I got them on a bubble. Um, Same, you could say learning to win just because of the new coaching staff, but again, so much of the roster that returns. Then you add in George Pickens, and so this is a team that's been together. There's camaraderie, there's chemistry, and they know what the expectations are. Expectations are always playoffs. And I don't want to say, Dak's injury, blah, blah, because we can say that about any team. So even assuming Dak is good to go, the NFC East is going to be tough this year, tougher than it's been. And the NFC in general has gotten a lot better. And so, Dallas gonna have to work cut out for them. The coach, a lot of people feel is just um, kind of just a temporary interim. Obviously, he's not an interim, but people feel that way with Schottenheimer. I don't know what's going to be different with them. That's the thing. I really don't know what's going to be different. And to be truthful, a lot of what happens with the Cowboys and their issue stems from outside of the field. So, but they got enough talent, obviously, to get enough wins to make it to the playoffs. But we just got to kind of see. The Raiders. The Raiders are tough. Um, you can. I'm really struggle between learning to win and building. Um, I gotta go learning to win, and the only reason I gotta go learning to win is because Gino and Pete Carroll are too veteran. Like they know how to win. Obviously, there's young players on the team, there's talent, and there's still a lot of talent that they need, to be honest. And so you got to get them, up to speed. But really, the head coach and the quarterback are the most important mouthpieces for the team. And when they have expectation and they know what it means to at least, consistently get wins and to compete, they can help usher the rest of the team along. And I gotta believe that's why you got a Pete Carroll, that's why you got a Geno. You didn't get, them to do a restart. You got them to get this team to the next level. So I think that's what they'll be at, learning to win. Texans, I I'm put them on a bubble. I'm put them on a bubble mostly because I want to see what this offense looks like. Obviously, a lot of unfortunate injuries. Tank Dell, if he comes back, is gonna be later in the year. You bring in some young receivers. You bring in Kirk and all that, and hopefully Nico Collins is healthy. But I want to see mentally how CJ bounced back from last year. I want to see what they do with the offensive line in terms of who their starters end up being. And you got a, new coordinator. And so apparently there was a lot behind the scenes that we don't know with the former coordinator that everybody 1 year ago was saying was going to be a head coach and now, fired. So I don't know what all that was, but we'll see how the offense settles in. I think the team was interesting. I really feel like Texans fans would push back, but I watched them obviously against my Bears, and then I watched just enough of them where I felt like they really weren't all on the same page. It didn't feel like they were all fully bought in to move in the same direction. So, and I don't know what that was. Maybe it was the injury to Tank Dell that was deflating. Obviously, we know how they feel about the Chiefs. I don't know what it was, but I strongly believe they'll be in the playoffs. But I think there's room for a fall off because there's some change and CJ's coming or looking for a bounce back, and that's not always guaranteed. As much as people want to crown people after one game, after 3 games, after one season, you need a game tape. You need a lot of sample size to see. And so I don't know CJ personally. I'm not saying I do know what he's going to do. I'm just saying it's very possible he could fold under that pressure. I don't know. So that's a bubble team for me, but I lean more towards them getting into the playoffs than not. So the Saints, um, yeah, I don't really know how you call them anything but rebuilding. Uh, New coach, quarterbacks down. More than likely, probably gonna go with a rookie quarterback that's not a first round pick. Um, yeah, I mean you still got some vets there, but yeah. That team is definitely moving towards a new chapter in this franchise. The Jets, the Jets are a little tricky. I'm stuck between building and rebuild as well, because you could really kind of say the same thing as the Jets, but they don't really have a quarterback of the future. So I don't know, man. You got a lot of. I'm gonna say building. It's just too much talent coming back. Justin Fields will be an interesting bridge, potential, future starter for the franchise. But we got to see how he meshes with everything. But I just think it's too much talent. Yes, it's a new coaching staff and all that, but good expectations. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm flirting with the idea that I'm on the hot seat, but I don't think it's a hot seat situation. I don't know. It's the Jets though. That owner is terrible, so it could be a hot seat situation. But for right now, I'm gonna say building. I think they added some talent. They added Justin Field. They're continuing to try to compete. Um, you know what? The more I talk about it, I could see them in learning to win, but it's just too much new stuff. Like it's a first time head coach, new quarterback, new stat. Like it's just I'm gonna stick with building. Ravens Super Bowl contenders. Not much to say about that. I mean talent, um, plus experience. Everything we saw. Uh, One of the toughest offenses to defend with Derrick Henry and everything. They didn't have anything crazy as far as like losing pieces on their team. So there we go. The Packers. The Packers. I am going to say bubble team. And this is no hate. It's not a hate thing. If you listen to this channel before, you know I don't hate on other teams really. I love football more than I love just my team. For me, it feels very similar to the Texans. Jordan Love's got to have a bounce back. The only difference is Green Bay's receiver situation is all in flux. Like the Texans at least know what that Nico Collins is going to be reliable. Christian Kirk is a veteran, and then they'll figure out the rest with everybody The Packers are all over the place. Training camp's gonna be real interesting, and to see how everything shakes out and who's healthy. But um, Jordan Love trying to bounce back and not really having a locked in connection with one particular person will be interesting. Obviously, he's got rapport with a number of these guys, but yeah, I assume they're going to trade somebody off or do something after training camp or near the end, early in the year. But we'll see how that kind of shakes out. For sure, you feel like they got enough on the roster and definitely enough with the coaching staff to be like a guaranteed playoff team, but we got to see what Jordan. I mean, but then again, you got Josh Jacobs. The run game was good. Um, I know they lost somebody on. I don't remember who all they was able to retain, but they passed pro good. They ran the ball efficiently, but yeah, I just got too many questions. Again, with no disrespect to Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud, we got to see how they meant to, because people want to get on here, I guarantee, and tell us we know what they're going to do. We don't. C.J.'s going into his third year. You have no idea. He only had 2 years. He had 1 year, rookie year, where he was performed really well, and he had the second year where he didn't quite reach those expectations. We have no idea how he's going to respond to that. And Jordan Love is older, been sitting around more, but as he's been playing, he hasn't been consistent. So that's where I got them. The Commanders, man, it's. I'm gonna go playoff. I think it's hard to say they're not Super Bowl contenders, but it is hard to say that because it's like, yeah, like Jaden Daniels going to his second year, and I think he'll be fine, but it's just not a guarantee. Um, I think they gonna battle. They gonna stack wins for sure. Um, are they guaranteed to win multiple playoff wins? Not guaranteed, but is it a high probability? I don't know. I don't know just yet. And Commanders one of those teams we could dive into a lot, pull up the numbers, blah blah blah. But I think overall, obviously they started to add some veterans. They're really pushing all the chips in the middle, and like they're going to be pushing. And I'm not saying they can't make the Super Bowl. I just don't know if it's a high chance. The NFC is going to be a bit of a slugfest. The Patriots, they're building. They're building. That's a combination of Mike Vrabel and kind of what he's bringing. That's a combination of the like flip of an off season they had. And to be honest, I might have thought this was a rebuild more than building if they didn't already have Drake May. And a Drake May who got out there and gained confidence. So you got Drake May and he's got confidence. That's the biggest hurdle. The franchise QB. Then you started to upgrade the talent in all ways that you can. So now we got a good amount of talent on the team. I don't think last year's a rebuild. If you wanted a comparison, last year's Patriots a rebuild. This year Patriots more of building. So that's kind of how I look at it. They are taking steps towards adding to the talent they already got and then trying to improve. And if this was a rookie coaching staff, I would feel different. But with Vrabel, I'm gonna say building. Broncos, I'm gonna say bubble. I'm gonna say bubble. Um, Between the defense, Sean Payton, even Bo Nix's performance, you feel like excuse me, I might as well do this now. I put the Chargers in the same place. I feel that is a professionally ran football team. Between Sean Payton and Harbaugh, they are going to have their team prepared. They're going to have them locked in the football, high IQ football. It's the roster where you still don't quite feel like, okay, it's a guarantee. Um, again, as good as people feel Bo Nix was, I might not be as high on him as others. That offense, I still got question marks. And again, I don't remember every single move off the top of my head, but I know that I would have felt different if the Broncos got the Chargers running back and Omarion Hampton. But they did it. And look, you can run the ball multiple people, but I think a young workhorse with explosion would have been real interesting. And so that's fine. They retooled their backfield, and the receiving core still to me is just not. It's not there. It's not there to for me to feel like that's going to be a consistent threat. Because the Broncos, kind of much like the Chargers, where if you get on them early, if they can't stop you early, the offense a lot of time doesn't have the firepower to come back. And so I do think, this is a team that's going to be prepared enough to get enough wins, but will it be enough to get in the playoffs? That's the question for me. The 49ers, this might be the trickiest this might be the trickiest one to rank cuz Kyle Shanahan, he gives this team such a huge boost for me. But then you gotta look at the rest of it. Obviously, Debo's gone. We don't know what Ayuk's situation is going to be health wise and status with the team wise. It seems like there's a sour relationship still, and we don't know if he might be traded. Pearsall, young receiver, still getting better. They bring Kittle back. Obviously, that's good. Trent Williams, we'll see. I mean, look, Trent. If Trent decides to be there, he'll be there full go, and they're kind of figuring that out. Um, and then Christian McCaffrey, which we see him working out and all that. That's good. But what will he look like in the game time? Like, will he be back to where he was? And Purdy, we know Purdy just hasn't been a force multiplier last year. So we got to see, how much is that contract going to hurt this team with the restrictions they've had. You lose Ward, you you lose Afonga, you lose Greenlaw. It yeah it. I'm gonna just go bubble. I can't go any lower because they know how to win. They're not building no talent. They got talent. Um, Last year, it kind of slid off. It was an unfortunate year with injuries and everything. Um, I'm gonna say bubble right now to be conservative. I feel like playoff, but to be conservative to see how they get through training camp and who emerges where, I might feel differently. But for right now, I'm gonna say bubble. The Colts learning to win, learning to. You know what? I'm not even. I'm gonna take it back. Colts is that's a hot seat. That's a hot seat situation. I just feel like and not even really against Shane Steichen as much, although there are some things that suggest that actually I'm gonna put this guy right next to him. Shane Steichen and Mike McDaniels, the young hotshot offensive QB guru, that it just seems like for both of them have not had the leadership to keep their team in check. And so no shot at them as a creative mind and all that, but as the lead guy, the team's been undisciplined and a little sloppy. So I really feel like the Colts, especially because they don't have no huge quarterback contract, you for sure could blow this thing up. And if this quarterback class is going to be what people say, I think that's a real possibility. Tua and his injury risk, I'm sure terrifies the Dolphins. And if you don't got Mike McDaniels and Tyreek already been talking so much about leaving, you got rid of Ramsey, but you get Minka, but you got rid of John who did so well for you. It just feels like to me this is on the brink. If it doesn't go well this year, I really think they start to scrap those rosters. The Lions, Super Bowl contenders. Actually, I'm gonna say playoffs. Um, and again, this is not me hating. This is not me hating. You lose both, not even both coordinators. People don't realize how many coaches, like on the rest of the staff, left. And so both coordinators is huge, plus a lot of coaches. It's just a completely different dynamic than what we've seen from them before. So this is strictly on that change. We don't know. Now, yes, the Eagles brought in two new coordinators, switched some things up, went to the Super Bowl, won. We don't, that's not the norm, that's not a guarantee. So I think losing, especially because the Eagles moved on from those coordinators, whereas the Lions lost coordinators they would have liked to keep. So it's different. So that's kind of where, but everything else I for sure believe there'll be a team getting a lot of wins. The New York Giants, mm, they don't know how to see. Well, I mean, there's no other way to put that. Um, I could maybe say rebuild. I don't know. They're in a weird spot. They're in the hot seat. A lot of talent. They brought in a lot of free agents. Obviously, you tripled up. You got a dual Carter with the other edge rushers. Malik Neighbors. You got a lot of talent, and so it's hard to say you're in a rebuild, but you don't have a QB. A lot of veteran QBs, a rookie QB. It's just, yeah, I think they're on the hot seat. I mean, for sure they're on the hot seat. I mean, we already know that. If this doesn't go well, everybody's fired. And then I do think they would strip that roster, probably trade Burns and or one of them, whatever. But yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl contenders. There's nothing to talk about. Don't play with me. The Bears, I got them in learning to win. The thing, as I said, with a lot of teams, we are returning a lot of our same players, and we've got some wins, obviously not enough. And last year was Caleb's first year, but you had a team that was stacking some wins the year before. Caleb came in, we got some wins, but obviously we weren't consistent. We didn't finish games and get the wins we should. First time head coach, whole new staff, but you just got a roster that A has good talent, but B, they've been together. And so you bring in new pieces for sure. Three new offensive linemen that should be starting. And offensive line, they'll figure it out, they'll gel. And they should all be upgrades. But for the most part, the team has been together. And so I think returning the roster 2 years in a row, really on defense, almost completely, that is a huge benefit to a new coach who doesn't really have to build a team chemistry, but we have to see, much like I said with everybody else, can this person also be somebody that organizes the team and leads the team to get them to play professional football? And obviously the development of Caleb and all that, but we're not building. We got tons of talent. But I'm not ready to say we're a bubble team. Because and winning is huge for me. If you can't see that by my tears, whenever I do these discussions during the year, it's all about how teams are able to handle situations in adversity. And I learned that watching the Patriots dynasty. Like once you started to see the Chiefs and Eagles and different people, they started to feel like the Patriots. Once I saw, wow, they can win in different ways. It's not all blowouts, and then you get into the playoffs and can't blow somebody out, so now you're in a dogfight, don't know what you're doing. It's not all comebacks where, oh my God, you never took the lead. It's not all offensive explosions. It's not all defensive 3-point games. It's a combination of you learning to win in many different ways. And so I don't think us as the Bears know how to do that. And a lot of teams don't know how to do that. All right, the Panthers. I'm going to have to say I'm stuck between learning to win and building, but I'm going to go learning to win. I'm going to go learning to win. Bryce, obviously, big year for him. Um, they've added some talent. They continue, and I can easily see them in the building phase. But they got some wins. Probably some wins that people didn't expect towards the end. But yeah, now you got to kind of roll that into some consistency. And I know it's what the second year for the head coach, and Bryce is only going into his third year. But I think, I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of talking myself out of it. I just don't know that they got enough talent for me to put them in that tier yet. I think they're still figuring out their cornerstones. Obviously, getting rid of Brian Burns was a move. And so you don't really got like a premier edge guy. Your quarterback's in development. You got young receivers that are learning. Offensive line was good in some aspects, but it's not dominant. So yeah, I'm gonna say building. The Bucks. I'm gonna say bubble team. Um, yeah, I'm gonna say bubble team. I'm curious as to what the defense is gonna look like. Obviously, we know Godwin's coming off an injury. They brought in Emeka Buka and Baker and all that. Mike Evans, look, we know what it is. It looks like Bucky Irvin probably gonna take a step up. We get all that, and I have confidence in that O line. I have confidence in that offense. New coordinator, but I have confidence in what Baker and them can do as vets. The defense has been all over the place for the last few years. Health wise, now they got new players. And so I'm interested to see what that is going to look like before I can, because the offense, honestly, a lot of times kept them in most games. And Baker, like, was in shootouts to keep them or get them back into a game they shouldn't have been in. So to me, this is more of a roster thing. What does that defense shake out after training camp? Who's starting? What they got? Where? Who's healthy? So very similar to the 49ers, I think, kind of. The Browns rebuild. Well, could we say hot seat? I look. I think Stefanski's was ever since the Deshaun Watson thing was set up to get screwed in his whole tenure. They've kept him longer than I thought, but he he's a much better coach than what he's been given the opportunity to show. Um, they just signed Miles Garrett. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with rebuild just because I don't know. The Browns also got a weird owner because I can see this going badly, and then I'm like, okay, let's trade Miles Garrett, get a bunch of stuff. Let's maybe trade why am I blanking on his name? Ohio State Denzel Ward. Um and just try to get as high as we can in this draft, get us a top tier quarterback and just build it from the ground. Um but I also could see them just because they got two first round picks with the Jags. So I guess I could see them just losing out and tank. I was gonna have a tanking tier, but I didn't even want to start that debate. Uh, I don't know. They probably would scapegoat Stefanski. That's my guess. So I'm gonna go hot seat. But either way, um, the Cardinals learning to win. I like Gannon. I like what he's been doing with the team as far as preparation, identity. Like they were not what I expected them to be last year. Obviously, you got Kyler Murray, so you already got your quarterback. Marvin Harrison, they added that talent. They put a lot of new talent in on the defensive side. I like what they're doing. And again, this is probably the perfect definition of a team. They had some wins you might not expect. They really look really good. Some games they look really bad for no reason. So learning to find some consistency. That's the tier they're in. Bills, Super Bowl contenders. We know what that is. Um, Seahawks. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. You got Sam Darnold. Coach is in his second year. You saw some good things from that young roster last year. Well, they did get rid of DK. I don't know. Did Lockett sign? Oh, they got Cooper Cup. Yeah, I'm gonna go learn and win. I'm gonna go learn and win. The roster and the coach are about at the same level, where again they are learning to get that consistency. But Sam Darnold and what he brings as a veteran kind of pushes it over the top for me. So I'm gonna go learn and win. Falcons. What did Grady Jarrett's now with the Bears. They drafted a bunch of young edge rushers, but now you got Penix stepping in, a lot of young talent. They do got talent on offense. They did lose another guard to the Bears as well. Uh, I'm between building and learning to win. I mean, they were in games last year. Offense alone, they got a lot of talent. But yeah, they were not consistent. I'm going to go with learning to win. Raheem Morris is a veteran, um, but they just got so much talent. I really think it's not building to me is about amassing talent to where it's pretty strong. Either is elite in one spot or is strong across the board. And learning to win is about having a talented roster that you're trying to channel into wins. And I think the Falcons got a talented roster they're trying to put into wins. The Bengals. The Bengals for me. So here's the difference. Burrow's hurt right now. This ain't a projection. He's hurt right now. The extent of it, I don't quite know. I'm not sure what he'll look like. Obviously, he probably won't do anything until week 1. But and I'm trying to I believe it was a calf, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me just look. I don't like to do this too often, but let me just see. That was okay. What is this? Why is it so old? Yes, I guess that mean how many injuries he has. I'm so confused. Why can't I find the injury he had? The Steelers. Oh my God. Yeah, calf injury. Okay. I don't know what the extent of it is. That's 2023. I don't know what the extent of it is. Calves, as we know, the Achilles bug is going around, so that's scary. But he's hurt right now, so that's the only difference in speculation with quarterback injuries. Um, and then we know the defense took a nosedive last year, and they're trying to rebuild that. I'm gonna go bubble. I'm gonna go bubble. If I had no injury scare with Joe Burrow, and I'm sure the fans know what his status is, but I just know he got injured. He probably won't be doing much this offseason. It's a calf. That's scary. So that things could fall apart real quick if Joe Burrow's not there. And obviously we can say that about all these quarterbacks, but yeah. So anyway, that is the tier list for me. Go down in the comment section, let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you for listening.